Finally, test day has come. I fitted WP closed cartridge forks to my 4-year-old Husky 701. Big question, were they worth the money?
Into hard rocks.
This is the story of how my 4-year-old Husqvarna 701 came to be fitted with WP Pro closed cartridge forks. It's about why I made the decision, how the installation went, and what I discovered on the first ride. Now, I'd like to admit something up front. Until a few years ago, I used to think that anyone who messed around with their suspension was a bit of a wanker.
Motorcycle Adventure Dirt Bike TV is proudly supported by Liat, Giant Loop, Bikes Only Transport, Muck Off, Rally Raid Products, Motul, Pirelli and Acerbis.
And remember, keep your filters clean and your throttle on.
Now, where was I? Yeah, suspension upgrades are for wankers. That's what I thought. I was convinced that it was the rider's skill that mattered and not how fancy the bike was. But that opinion didn't last long once I got the chance to ride a few bikes with upgraded suspension. First was the Honda CRF 300 Rally, fitted with a Rally Raid product setup that transformed the bike from average to exceptional. No exaggeration, have a look at that landing. And then came the Husqvarna Norden 901 with cone valve forks. The difference between the stock setup and the cone valves was massive, but also came with a $7,000 price tag, which I couldn't justify. Still, the seed was planted. Fast forward to today and every single bike in my garage now has upgraded suspension. Not for bragging rights, but because better suspension makes riding safer and more enjoyable, period. But I hadn't considered closed cartridge forks until I rode Rod Faggoter's Tenere 700. That bike's suspension blew me away. It was planted, plush, controlled, just next level. From that moment on, I knew one of my bikes had to get a closed cartridge system. The old girls come in for some work. We're at Sutto's in Penrith and Benny's going to be taking me through this suspension refit today.
We're going to upgrade these forks to a cartridge style.
Yeah.
Get rid of the open chamber and get the cartridge style and get more of an adjustability in the bike.
Yeah. So the reason I'm getting this done is I feel the forks are harsher than my old 690 forks, which have compression and rebound in both forks. Mm-hmm. And I just think these are a little bit harsher, and that's why I've gone down this path. Am I on the right track?
Yeah. With the adjustability you've got on these standard ones, you've got your rebound, then you've got your compression, but the compression's more of a mid-speed sort of style compression, so it becomes really important to get your low-speed valving right.
Yes.
So if the standard valving is not what you feel, and you don't have leeway, you don't have adjustability to get the initial movement of the bike to where you want it, which is where these cartridge kits are going to come in.
Right.
But we're going to have preload, we're going to have low speed, we're going to have rebound, we're going to have all these different areas we can adjust to change all that. So
beautiful. Let's go into it.
When you order your cartridge kit, you'll have to order the springs per weight.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So you can see the low speed adjustment on the tops.
Yep.
And then your preload adjustment. So once again, it's more than you've got on the other fork.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more fine tuning, where a lot of the other big adventure bikes, they will come with a preload adjuster, but there'll only be a 3, 6 and a 9 mil adjustment in it, where this is fine tuned to every millimetre. All right. And the rebound adjustment is at the bottom. So these cartridges share a lot of parts with the cone valves. Yep. It's pretty much that mid-speed setup, that cone valve setup, that's different between this and a Pro cone valve setup. So all of the preload adjustment, all the inner chamber springs, the pistons, rods, everything's pretty much identical to the cone valve.
So Benny, I've had the opportunity of riding cone valve bikes, and I used to think, when I was younger, suspension mods were for wankers.
Yeah.
It's just not the case, is it?
Mate, you got to invest in it. You want to be comfortable on the bike. You want to ride for hours. Why would you not invest in it? It's like everyone invests all in the exhaust and all these other stuff.
That's the last thing I do.
Mate, you want to be comfortable. You want to be on it for as long as you can without getting tired. Then you enjoy it more. If you hate being on the bike, you're not going to ride it.
Yeah, so mate.
Now we'll pull the standard cartridges out. spring seat, preload spacer. I also like to double check the standard settings to make sure that they're in the right place, because you don't know where they are from factory. So it's always better to double check. The comp's 12 as well, all the way in. Good. And then we'll use the new tool for the preload. We're going to start at 400 mil. And you'll have leeway of probably about 20 mil each way, even more than that if you want to really try it, but your normal zone would probably be about 20 mil for each way, so about 380 to 420 will be your normal range, but you can go from one extreme to the next. The most important thing is torque these triple clamps up to the exact specifications.
What's it, 17 Newton meters?
I think it says it on there.
17 or 19?
So it'll be 17 on the top.
Yeah.
So we've got 12. 17 and 12.
Yeah.
Top one, not so much, but the middle one you want spot on, because that will cause binding of the fork tubes.
So Benny, I've got all the gear and no idea now.
Yep.
So give us some pointers. We've set everything on standard settings.
Yep.
And how do you think I should go about tuning this to my best options?
So first of all, let's make it pretty basic, because if we go too in depth, then you're going to be chasing your tail.
Yeah.
Pretty much I would only touch the preload if you were in different areas such as sand, mud, if you end up in a real bog hole, or you're carrying extra weight, anything like that. That standard setting on that preload you could pretty much leave. You might do a click here, a click there, but I wouldn't even worry about it to start with. The compression side of things, it's more of your small bump compliance, your initial feel of the bike. If you find it's a bit rough,
yep.
You would soften that up. If you find that you're blowing through a little bit easy under braking and that sort of stuff, you'd probably put a little bit more into it.
Right.
Rebound wise, you'd probably pretty much it's more of a feel on how fast the fork's coming back up.
Yes.
So a lot of guys very rarely touch the rebound. I would more focus on the compression and the preload to start with.
Right.
And then chase the rebound afterwards.
Right. Well, I've been waiting for this for a long time. The weather's been crap. My aim for the day is to punch out around 200 kilometres of single trail, slow and fast twin trail, and some technical stuff. A typical day's adventure ride for me. Okay, so you've bought these top of the range forks, and you know it's easy to have expectations that you're just going to get on it and it's going to be better. You know, my expectation is it's going to take me a couple of weeks to A, get used to them, and B, kind of recognise what I want from them. There's two things I'm feeling. There's a lot of stuff coming through the road. Not only on the front, but on the back. And it reminds me that the last time I rode this bike it was loaded. And so I've wound the preload up on the rear. But we'll keep going for a minute. I'll just get in those ruts. About 50 to 60% of this bike's work is on dirt roads, so it's pretty important to have trail feel sorted. That's the first 3 centimetres of stroke that soaks up the minor track imperfections. Over big distances, if that's not sorted, the bike is tiring to ride. I don't know, maybe I'll leave it for a little while. Yes, I am picking up those, you know, those smaller hits, you know, far more intensely than I want, you know, coming through the handlebars and coming through the sea. But I think we'll wait till we get on Wadigan Creek Road where those bigger whoops and G-outs are, and just see how it handles there. And then I'll make some small adjustments, I think. Whoa, whoa, shit, that's slippery. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, when you really start to push it, then you notice the closed cartridge is kicking in.
With the closed cartridge forks, the difference was immediate. On these faster, rougher trails, the compliance over standard forks is night and day. They just soak up those bigger hits like it's nothing. The front end stays composed and the bike feels noticeably more planted. Not that I want it, but if you did, it gives you the confidence to charge harder without worrying about deflection or harsh feedback.
Yeah, I'm surprised how good they are straight out of the box with standard settings for me. I mean, I'm no racer, no. But they're doing what I want them to do. The harder it goes, the more responsive they are, and you get this great grip and feel off the front wheel. That's a bonus I didn't expect. Okay, it's time to, I think, talk about my initial thoughts. Just get through. What a machine. Of all the bikes I've got for adventure, this is the one. It is just so bloody versatile. This is my favourite gate on Waddingham Creek Road. I remember coming here as a 14-year-old and coming through that gate and not knowing the great expanse of mountains and bush that were in front of me. And it took me years and years to kind of discover all that. Well, we're not here to talk about nostalgia today, we're here to talk about those shocks. So on this first section of Waddingham Creek Road, where there's a lot of whoops and G-outs, I went both down the hills and up the hills, and prior to that, my sense was, like on those normal tracks that 60% of us ride, I didn't think, I thought it was just a little bit too harsh in the front. Not too much, and I'm confident we can dial that out. But the second you get in the harder hits, my God, what a difference it is. Like, it really makes it enjoyable. It's the harder you push it, the more plush, I don't know if that's the word, but the more responsive it becomes. I'm hunting out potholes and anything I can find to give myself a sense of what this suspension's like.
A quick blast around a familiar quarry only confirmed what I was already starting to realise. These closed cartridge forks absolutely shine when things get hard and fast. Compared to the standard forks, they hold their line, they stay composed, and just eat up those big hits without flinching. That performance alone made the purchase feel totally justified, but the real question remained, could I get the icing on the cake, that buttery compliance on the small stuff too?
The Yango track represents a typical trail that you'd do on an adventure ride. You know, it's open, it's pretty fast, it's got some rocky bits, and every now and again there'll be a jump or something. Yeah, there's two tools. One is a ring spanner for preload, and this is the other neat little thing for compression. And so what that allows you to do is just slip that under there, and you can line that up with that screw. See? So let's see if it works in practice. All right. Well, well, it might be me, but I can't do that. No. Well, after much stuffing around, I got it on there. So let's. So I'm just going to wind it back 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, same thing applies this side. It's a pain in the ass to get on there. Keep watching, fellas. Well, let's try it out. Boom, straight into hard rocks. And it's still holding up, and it's definitely responded to the clickers. If there's ever a trail that really highlighted the strengths of the Husky 701, this is it, the Engo Trail. It goes on and on. It's about 40 kilometres long. It's got jumps and whoops and rocks and sand. There's always something around the corner to catch you out. And it's just a pleasure riding it on the 701.
So my second-hand 2021 Husky 701 is worth around 12,000 Australian dollars. Instead of trading it in, I've thrown $2,000 in hard-earned cash to upgrade the front suspension. I also bought a plastic Acerbis bash plate that provides great protection, but better still is a heap quieter than the metal ones. And finally, I spruced up the bike with a whole shot graphics kit. I wanted something traditional and the whole shot designers nailed it. So, where to from now? I'm still chasing the compliance for the small stuff. I'm pretty close to getting it just right. I'm considering reducing rebound another 2 clicks, but I'm in no hurry as I'd like to test the bike loaded for a camping adventure. Now, another problem with improving the performance of the forks is I'm realising the rear shock could be improved, but that will have to wait another day. $2,000 is a big outlay for a second-hand bike, but then again, my intention is to keep those forks and move them onto the new bike into a similar way to enduro racers who move their expensive cone valve suspension onto their new bikes. Finally, there are other alternative modifications out there, altering shim stacks and modifying the valving that can improve trail feel and performance of the standard forks that are about half the price. I modified my KTM 690 in this way and I'm happy with that performance. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching MADTV, and if you like what you've seen, subscribe. A big thank you to WP Australia, Suttos of Jameston and Whole Shot Graphics for supporting this project. There is no editorial input by any of these supporters and no money changed hands for my commentary. I received a 10% or $200 discount from WP Australia on the purchase of the forks. Suttos of Jameston gave me a 50% discount on labour. I purchased the Acerbis bash plate before Acerbis Australia became a sponsor. The graphics kit from Whole Shot Graphics was provided free of charge.
I'm in the wrong. I need to be over in that corner. Oh, sliding. I do not want to go in that valley. That is crap. I'm through, I think.